Hello everybody, welcome back to another light novel review. Today I am reviewing volume number 9 of Reiki Kawahara's light novel series, Sword Art Online. Now, I skipped volume number 8 because it was just a collection of some short stories. This one is probably one of the more anticipated volumes of Sword Art Online, as it is the beginning of the Alicization storyline. Now, this is a huge arc, so Sword Art Online has either been 1 to 2 books per storyline so far. This arc continues on for a total of 10 volumes. The end of this sort of arc of the Alicization storyline just came out in August of 2016. In fact, a lot of people kind of felt that that was probably going to be the end of Sword Art Online, but apparently there is a 19th volume coming. In February of 2017, Amazon Japan has it listed as February 10th. I've read some various things about it. Some sort of think that it's just a side story again. Others are thinking maybe it's the start of a new arc. I guess we'll see in a couple of months, but let's get on to this volume because you want to know whether you want to be reading this for the next 10 books, right? So in this volume, Kirito wakes up in a brand new world. It's not Alfheim, it's not the new Aincrad, it's not Gun-Gale Online. Instead, it's a completely different world that has its own set of religious ideas. The jargon in terms of being like a virtual reality MMO is pretty much all eliminated. In fact, the lines between what is real and what is not real, the whole idea of, what do we perceive as being truth and so forth, becomes a little bit muddy. And so basically Kirito has to decide what kind of world has he found himself in, what are the rules, and exactly why does this world exist and why is he in it. You can pretty much split this book into 3 parts. The first part, I don't want to give it away, but it's a little bit disorienting at first because you're kind of like, what's going on? Because it's like you're reading a whole new story all of a sudden, and just one of the characters happens to be named Kirito. Then you get to the middle part, and the middle part is probably going to be the make or break part of this book for a lot of people. The middle part, and it goes on for, like 60 or more pages, like it's several chapters, is essentially Kirito sitting in Agil's cafe having a conversation with Shinon and Asuna, pretty much explaining the whole architecture of what we're about to read. And it's kind of laying the groundwork about, just so you kind of understand about what the hell is about to happen, not just in the final third part of this book, but potentially, I guess for the next 9 volumes. It is a lot of exposition and a lot of bit of, now, I haven't done any deeper research into this, so I don't know how much of it is pseudoscience. I don't know how much of it is complete invention science. I don't know if it is probably just pure fantasy. I can't say for that. I'm imagining it's maybe kind of a blend of a few of those things. I really have my doubts that it's entirely based on any kind of truthful research. But nonetheless, then we get into the sort of final third part, which, again, I kind of have to avoid talking too much or else it will spoil things. But this book, after Kirito kind of took the back seat in volume number 7, this book is pretty much all Kirito. The one thing that's kind of nice about this book, though, is that Kirito in every new arc finds himself a new partner in crime, and it's usually a cute girl. So, in the original Aincrad, it was Asuna. Then it was Lifa, and then it was Shinon. Well, now, it's a dude! Wow, Reiki Kawahara actually introduced a male character and used him as like a main secondary character. And lo and behold, he actually is a character. He actually has some emotional depth. He actually has motivation and desires, and he's like actually a fleshed out character. So that was really cool. That was kind of a cool surprise. The other thing about this book that I kind of enjoyed was that for the majority of it, Kirito is not OP Godkun that he has been in, well, pretty much every other sword art book that you can think of. For the vast majority of this book, he is confused and full of doubt and kind of weak and is defeated. And it was refreshing because we really haven't seen that side of Kirito very much at all in this series. There are a lot of different kind of ideas that are going on in this series. At least this first volume, like I said, there's a lot of exposition in that middle part to try and explain what the heck is happening. But once you get past that, it's almost as if Reki Kawahara wanted to write a more hard fantasy story, but wanted to still incorporate some of the characters and ideas that he's used in Sword Art Online. The other thing that I found really surprising about this volume, and I actually tweeted about it a little bit, had a conversation with a few of you about it, is how some of the ideas in this seem to really directly lay the groundwork for the Brain Burst program in Excel World. It's no secret that Kawahara has said that Sword Art Online and Excel World take place in the same world. That Sword Art is pretty much talking about precursor technology to the stuff that we see in Excel World. And I was aware of that, but up to this point, I don't think that we've really seen anything that we could say, wow, that is like sort of Brain Burst. Like that is sort of the groundwork for this dark underground program. But in this book, it's there. It's totally there. And I would be interested to know whether, well, like what came first, the chicken or the egg. So I know that Excel World's volumes that discussed some of those things obviously came out before Sword Art Online, but I kind of wonder if it was always in the back of his head to start using that groundwork for stuff in Sword Art, or whether it just turned out to be a really convenient thing to do when he decided to very much switch gears. The other thing that's kind of good about this book that I think helps it out is that it brings back stakes. So in the original Aincrad story, there were stakes. I mean, we were pretty confident that Kirito and Asuna wouldn't die, but it didn't mean that one of their friends wouldn't die. It didn't mean that they couldn't come close to death. And death was real. It was actually a thing. If you died in Sword Art, you were truly dead. And I think the series has kind of struggled since then to find a way to make us feel emotionally invested in characters, because how do you worry about them when you know that they're not going to die? Now, in Alfheim Online, of course, the way that he did that was with the really, really sort of, well, I did not enjoy it, but that whole damsel in distress thing. Oh, Asuna's going to be brainwashed and stolen by the dirtbag dude. And it was very cliche and hokey, and it really didn't work much for me and didn't do much, I thought, for Asuna's character. Then, of course, when we get into Gun Gale Online, we have the whole thing with Death Gun. Can he really kill people for real? But even that, I don't think felt as much of a threat. Because in Sword Art Online, anything you did, heck, walking outside of a town was potentially dangerous. So in this book, he starts to try and bring back stakes. For instance, pain is a reality in the virtual world that Kirito finds himself in. There is also an idea, a potential that characters can truly die. In fact, even Kirito himself is somewhat unsure of exactly what would happen to him if he dies. He tells himself that he knows, but the world is so different and the rules are so different from the other VR MMOs that we've experienced in this series that even as I was reading the book, I kind of was like, I'm not too sure. Like, Kirito, if you die in this one, I don't know if it's as simple as you just reboot or you log out or what have you. So, all in all, I thought that this was laying down a really decent new direction for the series. Like I said, it is very different. It is far more fantasy. It mixes in just the enough sword art-ish type stuff to make it sword art, but it's still a very, very different type of story that is being told. And I'm kind of excited about that. And because this was very Kirito centric, I'm kind of excited to see going forward how other characters from Sword Art are going to figure into this, whether they'll be in it at all, whether it's going to be nothing but a new cast. I know from some of the future covers that it appears characters from Sword Art Online become involved in this storyline in one way or another. But I think it's just that, to me right now, there's just so many things that I don't know, because this is now an arc that's never been animated. So for the first time, I'm actually reading Sword Art Online with absolutely zero idea about what's going to happen. And I think that's kind of exciting. Like, to me, this is where I get to be the favorite part when I'm reading a light novel series, one that I've, seen the anime or I'm familiar with. It's that excitement when you get to that part where you're like, okay, I now have no idea. Like, I've avoided spoilers. I've, stayed away from reading like synopsis of what happens next. I've stayed clear of all that. I have no idea what's going to happen. And like I said, I'm hoping that the info dump that we had in this book is not going to be an example of what's going to happen throughout the entire series. I'm pretty sure at this point that the bulk of it's been dealt with, and that we're just, we'll get tidbits throughout as we find out new things about this world. So overall, I thought it was pretty decent. The new characters that were introduced in the book are probably some of the better characters. There was actual honest-to-God emotional parts that I felt that I actually felt something. So I think it's moving in a pretty good direction. I don't know what's going to happen from this point. Can't guarantee you that a 10-book-long series is going to keep that up, but so far, fairly decent start to the Alicization storyline. I'm looking forward to volume number 10, so we'll see. Let me know what your thoughts are if you've picked this up and read it, or if you read the web novel, or if you've read a translation of it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, but remember guys, try and keep it spoiler-free for the people that have not had a chance to read this yet. So those are my thoughts on volume number 9 of Sword Art Online. My next review is going to be My Little Sister Can Read Kanji. Apparently this is kind of a whole play-up on the whole moe sort of fad and manga obsessions, the otaku culture. I'm going to check it out. I've heard that it's pretty funny, so we'll see. That's from J Novel Club, so that'll be my next review, hopefully in the next couple of days. I'm trying to get caught up. I've got a whole bunch of books coming because December was a huge release month. So if you're brand new to the channel, don't forget to click subscribe so you can check out all of my future light novel reviews, including future reviews of Sword Art Online. I've got links to my old light novel reviews, and I don't just read books, I like to write them too. I've got links to those as well. So again, thank you so much for watching the video. I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Till then, bye-bye for now.